Yo, what is up, boys? It's Fohnzii here, back with another episode of Journey of a Grandmaster. And, yeah, I mean, I'm like a month and a half late. I haven't released a video in 2 months, basically. And on May 12th, I hit Masters, as is probably pretty obvious by the title of the video. But, yeah, I wanted to get this video out. I'm sick as shit currently. And I can't really do anything else, so figured I'd put together a couple games from the day that I hit Masters, and yeah, just talk a little bit about kind of like the style of play. So when I think about styles of play, I kind of draw the comparison between players like Cyril and Dark, right? Two Zergs, and from like the outside looking in, it's seemingly vastly different styles of gameplay. When you look at Cyril, he seems like the Terminator, right? Like everything's very strict. He has a clear response for everything he's up against. He's rarely late on any sort of timings, on upgrades. Like he's got everything down packed. And then Dark, obviously, just as good of a player in terms of being efficient in the early game, the mid game, and the late game. Obviously, kind of like well known for being kind of a pain in the ass to deal with in the late game. But Dark definitely feels more chaotic throughout his pro games that I've seen. So, I'm saying that to basically say that if you enjoy a certain play style more than others, so let's say, you're a filthy Terran and you want to go planetary fortress at your natural, which I'm not saying is a good strategy, but it's definitely something you can do. And it lends itself to the turtley playstyle, and tilts your opponent, relies on them making a ton of mistakes, so on and so forth. Feel free to do that, and then you can kind of like optimize those wacky strategies as you play them more and more and more. There's a guy that I play on the ladder, or at least I used to, for like a few hundred MMR, like 39 to like 4100. I would run into him all the time. It was a Zerg player called Dan Diamond. And I've talked to HuShang about this a few times. He's got one of the most annoying builds that I was going up against for quite some time. Essentially, he would camp out on 2 base, get out like quick Hydra tech, which, yeah, sounds terrible, right? But he kind of like hides it, makes you think that it's Muta, which it is at first. Okay, so you're like defending against Muta. He only makes like 4 or 5 Mutas, and then he goes straight into Hydras, straight into Lurkers, expands once he has 1 or 2 Lurkers, and then it gets kind of dumb from there, and obviously relies on your opponent being terrible, which I am, so it works. But yeah, so anyway, so like if you enjoy playing a turtley play style, if you enjoy maybe you've molded your game or tried to mold your game around someone like Raynor, who has like blinding speeds when it comes to like actions per minute, and kind of using his army in really annoying ways, then that's cool. Go ahead, play to your strengths, play what's fun. And for me, like when I started out, I was a purely kind of macro oriented, like that's what I wanted to get down. I wanted to make a ton of drones and just kind of like overwhelm my opponent with like massive amounts of endless swarm, right? Kind of typical Zerg fantasy, right? Have like fucking 8 or 9 hatches and just poop out some Zerglings. But yeah, I mean, after a while, after I kind of felt comfortable with droning to, pretty quick saturation on like 4 base, I started to kind of experiment with some cheese, started to experiment with some more tempo-oriented gameplay, kind of like pushing the pace and skill checking my opponents really often. And then, there was a lot of losses in learning both styles. And I wanted to also mention that I don't think any one particular style is going to negatively impact your game if you want to learn how to play it. I think everything has a place in a game like StarCraft. I mean, the game's been around for 12, 13 years, right? Like, there's so many different I guess, routes you can take. Like, yeah, obviously there's the most efficient, there's kind of like the meta builds, or you know, what have you. But most of us are not going to be, you know, 6K, 7K, where like it actually really matters. I mean, if you just look at Reaper, he's GM Zerg. He does basically nothing but cheese, and it works on, you know, like anywhere from low to high GM, like top 16 GM. So I mean, you can literally do whatever you want in this game. You know, have fun with it. See what you like. If you want to improve really quickly, then, you know, it doesn't hurt to kind of like practice your mechanics. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're a Zerg player, we've been doing these drills lately where, you know, we basically play our build as we would in a normal game, depending on the matchup. So if it's like ZVT, you know, you do your build order for that. And, you know, kind of identify, like, what you could be doing better. So, like, one of my things was that my injects were fine, you know, like, they were quick. But I'd be looking at my base too often, as if though I didn't know what I needed in my base or what kind of tech structures I required, so on and so forth. So, you know, what we started to work on was inject, spread creep, think about what tech structures we need for our build, put them down as fast as possible, and then just like start kind of moving around the map with units and being really proactive. So, you know, if you want to get, you know, if you want to improve pretty quickly, you can do it that way. Kind of go into customs and do that as like a warm-up, 30 minutes or something like that. And I promise it definitely makes a difference. You know, you don't really realize how poor your mechanics are until you kind of, you know, be really anal, I guess, about your performance. And, I mean, besides that, I don't really have a script for this video, as you could probably tell. Kind of just wanted to rant or, you know, go off on some tangents about what I've thought about the last couple months, the journey to Masters 3 so far, and, you know, kind of like the steps that I've taken to improve. And definitely just want to give like a quick shout out to the Shang gang. You know, HuShang has his coaching. I've mentioned it pretty much almost every video. If you do have some like disposable income, you know, you have a job, you know, whatever, like if you can spare $35, I think it is, for like tier 2, and just like join the group sessions every Wednesday and Saturday, and then like Monday there's like an EU time. But yeah, I mean, if you can just spare a little bit, like you can fast track your progress like so quick. It's actually insane. I mean, I know at least for me, I joined HuShang like at 3.1, I think. And, you know, 4 months later, you know, Masters 3. And then we have another Zerg player who got to Masters 3 in like a month, I think like a month or a month and a half or something like that. So, I mean, you know, the results are there. Like, HuShang definitely knows what he's talking about. He has tutorials on YouTube, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, highly recommend, like, seeking out some coaching. There's actually something that Fohnzii said, which is, if you guys don't know who that is, it's kind of like a mid GM, like, I don't know, top 40 or something like that. And he's a Protoss player, and he said something on his stream the other day that definitely resonated with me a little bit, because it's something we don't think about too much. And in a lot of ways, the culture that we live in, if you live in the United States anyways, is very much like, tends to be kind of lone wolf-ish a lot of times. But yeah, he said that, you know, nobody that ever became great did it by themselves. So there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. Like, if you've ever heard the expression, it takes a village to raise a child, it's very much the same, right? Like, even the ones like, you know, let's say Serral, for example, right? So it's like, I don't know, maybe I have a Serral bias, okay, whatever. Yes, I'm a Zerg player, okay, I like Serral. But even someone like Serral, like, he has his practice partners, you know, like other amazing players that like have really, you know, punishing builds and like keep players like Serral in check. Like, he practices against them, you know, he figures things out, he theory crafts with some people he trusts, whatever. But I can promise you that, you know, he didn't become great by himself. And even if he, let's say, like, theoretically that he learned absolutely everything about StarCraft theory by himself, the story goes that, you know, he was inspired to play StarCraft because, like, he went to an event with his older brother or something like that. So we would maybe not have Serral at all if it was not for his older brother. So there you go. In a roundabout way, like, even if he did do everything theory-wise himself, like, he still, you know, became who he is today because of other people helping out. So don't think that you have to do everything yourself. In fact, it's usually the most inefficient way. I mean, especially in a game that's 13 years old, why would you like try to learn, 13 years of StarCraft theory by yourself? It's like actually, I don't know, it's kind of insane. Like at the minimum, watch some YouTube videos, look at pro games. Definitely, like we have so many content creators, Hearthstone, Loco, Wardy, so on and so forth. The list goes on. And you can learn a lot just by kind of paying attention. But you also have to practice, right? Like, when I first started this series, I had made a goal to play 10 games a day. And the idea was that I could get a sufficient amount of volume to keep my mechanics sharp, to apply the theory into practice, right, that I was learning, so that it wouldn't just be like a concept in my brain. I could actually apply it to my keyboard and see the results on my screen, that sort of thing. Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of quotes on this kind of stuff, but, knowledge without application is useless, right? So, you can read a million books, but if you never try to apply what you've learned, you haven't actually learned anything. So, guys. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I got on this video to rant a little bit. Like, it's always fun to just kind of chat here and sort of like journal my thoughts almost, and hopefully it helps you guys one way or another. I guess like to segue off of that, something else that I wanted to talk about is that I took like a month and a half long break, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. And reason being is it's not that I was like burnt out from StarCraft, and it's not like I felt like I reached the finish line or something, because obviously my goal is to reach Grandmaster at least once. But basically what happened is I just wanted to play other games. Like, my schedule at the time was kind of tight, and I didn't have all day to play video games, and Diablo 4 was coming out, and then I also wanted to try Honkai Star Rail, and I was playing one other thing, I can't remember, but like, I just wanted to say, like, don't think that you have to be super strict. Like, I understand that, like, if you set a goal and you make a plan, you should try to follow it as best as you can, but there definitely should be some room for, like, calling an audible. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be so hard on yourself that you make discipline into this tortuous process. Like, discipline is necessary. Discipline is definitely satisfying. And, like, following through with a plan is, always a great feeling. But there's always room to evaluate the situation and kind of, like, make a call, like a judgment call, right? Like, what's best for you. No one really knows you better than you, hopefully. So feel free to make that call on your own. But yeah, I took a month, almost let's see. So like I took 3 weeks without playing any StarCraft whatsoever, and then I started to play customs with HuShang and Jace and like all the other Protoss that were willing to lend their time to play customs. And I didn't play a ranked game again until like the 4th or 5th week, right? So take care of your mental well-being. Make sure to have fun with other things. Like, make sure to take care of yourself. You're not going to really perform that great if your sleep is trash, if you're not exercising. Everybody says this a million times, but it's for good reason. You need to take care of your body in order for your mind to perform at its absolute best, and you need to take care of your mind for your body to feel its best as well. So don't neglect either or. Anyways, this has been Fohnzii. Hopefully my rambling has provided some sort of value to you guys, even if it's just like background noise for whatever, some customs that you're practicing. And I look forward to uploading another video in 5 months about promoting to Masters 2. But no, seriously, I'll try to. I know it's kind of like hogwash to just say like, yeah, I'll try to upload more videos, but I'll try to do some more free-form content, kind of some rambling, kind of like the Diary of Fohnzii. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I'll let you watch the rest of this game. Whenever you see a Protoss, make sure to poop on them. And take care. Peace.